Okay, welcome back again. I'll see you. Faces of interest. Now, well, the second part of the day begins with Maria. Maria Latka is one of the partners from Poland. She works in Teacher Training Center, Regional 1. I don't remember the whole name because I don't speak Polish, but the initials are WOM, Training Center. She's also a co-author of books of English for teachers, English as a second language. And her partner will be, according to the program of the conference, about the training process. Thank you, Maria.
Always limit me in my expression. As I'm an in-service teacher trainer, as Margarita introduced me, I'm more practical in my approach. You know, that were the academic presentations, but now I'm going to be more practical. And I'm going to reflect on what was happening in my institution. So, firstly, I would like to go back to Natalia said that when we were joining the project, we too were pretty skeptical, right? In fact, when the application was written, I was in hospital. And I knew Margarita because I had been in other projects with In-Service Teacher Training Center in Valladolid before, but they were all about web quest, technology, virtual environment while teaching science subjects. And I was a little bit fed up with it, although they were very interesting. So when she suggested plurilingualism, and although I had no idea whatsoever what it was, I was very enthusiastic. Because I like novelty, which is probably not a good approach, because you should have some hints about what it's going to be. Right, crazy, okay. Right, so I decided to take part in the project. There was the first kick-off meeting, and then, wow, plurilingualism. How to touch it, how to approach it, what to do with it. But then there was Paloma's lecture and other definitions, so I thought that I knew more or less what it was. But then, again, I come from a homogeneous country, like Natalia does. So what do I do with it? How do I convince not only teachers, but school heads to agree to participate in the project? Because that was my first task, to phone schools and ask the school heads to let their teachers participate in the project as job shadowers and house teachers. My first phone call. This is the project on plurilingualism. Okay, could you send me all the data concerning the project? So I translated everything into Polish and sent to the school head. And then I got a phone call. Well, you know, we are already in 2 projects, and the other 2 teachers of English are expecting babies. So sorry, no. Okay? So there were other phone calls to other school heads, and finally there were 3, then 4, then 5 schools that agreed to take part in the project. I also presented the job shadowers and house teachers with the project. We've had our meetings. I had also seminars with school heads in order to present the project to them, because then there was the training coming, the training modules. So to give them a wider view what we were doing. So, but let me start from the beginning, the training process. The training process in the project is twofold: pre, during, and post-job shadowing in the form of workshops, Workshops defined here as a series of structured activities, right? So pre-job, shadowing training. So there are as if three aims: getting the job shadowers acquainted with the idea of plurilingualism as understood in the project. So when we had the meeting with the teachers that agreed to take part in the project as job shadowers and house teachers, we had a meeting, and then they got acquainted. I was doing my best to convey them the idea of plurilingualism and the idea of the project. Then the other aim is to get the job shadowers acquainted with the job shadowing protocol, the host schools and teachers, and assigning them to both of them. Right, so to match the teachers, the job shadowers, with the host teachers and the host schools. So this is I'll show you the protocol. It was like that. So it was like an inner document, right, that we were sharing with the job shadowers. They got acquainted with what they were going to do. Also the host teacher, how they were to prepare their school kids for the visit, even the parents. It is all there, the whole protocol, the whole procedure. So this is pre-visit, so this is addressed to school community, colleagues, school children and their families. Like for example, for a pre-visit stage, a very important element is to inform the school children about participation in the project and inform them about the teacher's visit to a different school and country. Involvement of school community and parents would give additional motivation and visibility for the issue of plurilingualism and new competences sought by the teachers and new skills and opportunities for learning for the school children. In pre-visit period, it is important to inform about the project school superiors and colleagues, prepare the school children, their class mistresses and their parents for the teachers, leave for the school shadowing visit or for the visitors to come for class observation. The host school should make all the necessary steps for the visiting teacher to be able to stay in class during the learning process in accordance with school or national rules. The next, contact with the visiting schools. Teachers, the job shadowers were getting in contact with the host teachers, with the host schools. And then during the length of the visit was supposed to be no longer than 5 working days. The maximum observation classes are 2 per day, not exceeding 5 classes per visit. The school teachers should ideally be observing 2 to 3 different classes in languages, and that what was happening. And then post-visit, when the job shadowers came back, there was a post-job shadowing workshop, and we invited the other job shadowers and also their school heads if they could come. And then we shared our experience. The teachers were showing what they had been doing during the visit. Sometimes the lessons had been filmed, recorded, so they showed the lesson to the others. Ideally to all of them, but it was not always possible because of their lesson plans. Okay? So that was the pre-job shadowing training. The while job shadowing training consists of the presentation of the performed lesson by the host teachers and the job shadowers, commenting on the presented lesson, sharing experience concerning the conducted lessons. The while job shadowing training took place during job shadowing visits. Right, so in the morning the teachers were at school, were doing lessons, the ones that they had prepared in their countries. They came, and also host teachers were doing their lessons, and then the last part was the joint activities. And then, in the afternoon, the last afternoon of the visit was completely devoted to presentation of their lessons, how they have done the presentations. And the post-job shadowing training, as I have said, it was sharing the job shadowing experience with other job shadowers. There are school heads and other teachers if they were willing to participate. Presenting the worked out and conducted lessons and sharing comments on the lessons. This is the comments that some of the job shadowers presented. During job shadowing events, all teachers and students were affected as they had well-planned lessons, joint activities, including all objectives of the project. The main purpose of the job shadowing was to promote collaboration among teachers, dialogue and reflection, and that was what was done because they collaborated while preparing their joint activities. So there had to be a dialogue and then the reflection during the workshops when they presented their joint activities. Okay? And then there is another kind, because this is almost the end of the project, there was another kind of training, the project course, about which Laura was talking. There were specially designed training modules performed as the pilot course, 4 modules, and the course itself, another 4 modules. Laura presented all the titles of the modules, not the content because there is no time for it. Okay? Depending on the respective partners, the first part of design training took place between November 2014, so it started last year, November last year, till January 2015. The second part, January 2015, up till April 2015, right? Depending on the institutions, universities and in-service teacher training centres, whether they were able to do it, but within these months. Modes of presentations were adjusted to the available situation of the target group, but as Laura has said, each module comprises 2 academic hours of face-to-face teaching, alternatively online presentation, and 4 academic hours of individual or group assignment. This is what happened in all the countries. So the training process in total covers 48 hours, which means 16 contact hours with pre-service and in-service teachers, 32 hours of individual work while teaching in the case of in-service teachers, and study of sample materials and lesson plans in the case of pre-service teachers. That's how it was arranged, because I'm supposed to talk about the training process, so that's how it was arranged. And the training was conducted in accordance with the local situation and curricula at school. Teacher training centres, in-service teachers, universities, pre-service teachers. Therefore, there was a possibility to vary tasks and their order of following in the modules. The modules, however, are designed according to the logical scheme of raising awareness of the topic issues in each model, and as such, it is advisable to follow it. If you allow me to present you with the titles of the modules for you to see the logical order of them. Just a second. Can't find it. Opening learners to all form of otherness. School and identity, class objectives, stressing inclusion of otherness. So that was the first step. That was very important in my case, in the case of my teachers, opening to otherness. As I have said, I have pointed out too many times probably, Poland is a homogeneous country, right? 97% of Polish citizens speak Polish. But also this is an issue of otherness and being open to otherness. I think that in many aspects we also tend to be a traditional country. Right, so just to touch upon certain things, safe issues like other languages can lead you to other issues that otherwise you wouldn't have talked about, wouldn't have discussed. So that was a great value of the training, not only of this module, but of all the modules. The next module is comparison of various cultures. I mean, this is something that is done during language lessons, not only English lessons, but French language lessons, German language lessons, right? But you know, I decided to invite teachers of other subjects to the course, like one mathematician, a biologist, a chemistry teacher, a German teacher, and they cooperated together and they were presented with these modules and the content of the modules, and they were very willing to discuss. I mean, sometimes it was like, again, Natalia pointed out, an eye-opening experience for them. You know, that you can approach certain things that are not even touched or discussed. I don't mean on a probably larger scale, but in school environment, because it's too difficult, it takes too much effort, you have to do something with it. Because when I started the project and I had the first meetings with job shadowers or teachers, we started talking about unprivileged people as such. Not only about those, minorities, right, language minorities or whatever. We started talking about unprivileged people as such. And that was, then we started, because this is not what you talk about in public schools. In public schools you talk about examinations. In public schools you talk about being an efficient teacher and being an efficient student, of course, which is okay. But there are other topics that have not been approached simply because it's not done in public schools. Right, so that was very important for my experience and for conducting the training, both job shadowing training and then training itself. Then the next topic is learner autonomy in cross-disciplinary projects. So we go from opening to otherness, comparison of other cultures, and we go deeper and deeper. And then, of course, learner autonomy has been popular for some time, has been, discussed. Some of, at least Polish teachers, pretty, prejudiced, I would say, or critical about this. But some of them are very enthusiastic, right? But we could have an in-depth discussion about it. And it was really very informative for me. And then making learner aware of their language repertoire and their value. Their language repertoire and their value. Again, the next step, right? Especially for foreign language teachers. For the others, probably, it wasn't of that great interest, but for the others, especially foreign language teachers, it was really very informative and something that they made a lot of activities from. A reflection on language, raise awareness in linguistic knowledge versus language knowledge, acquired through one language and transferred to another. And there were activities. I had in my group a teacher of English and a teacher of German, and they cooperated together and they prepared wonderful lessons and wonderful activities. I've got pictures and the lessons themselves, in fact. Interaction with people belonging to other social groups, which is another, I would say, sensitive issue. And communication skills free of prejudices and stereotypes. Okay, this is what I have here. I would like to linger a little bit here on this training module. Because although Laura was talking about the modules, the steps, I would like to show you how it was really constructed, right? What we did during the training. It's the 8th module, my favorite one. In fact, all of them are okay, of course, but this is communication skills free of prejudices and stereotypes. You know, when we talk about prejudices, these hidden prejudices, these visible prejudices, so what comes to my mind is, sorry for a cliche, but Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. You know, there are films and books about those, you know, Jane Austen admirers, and I mean her books, the admirers of her books and so on and so on. But you know, she was really very clever because, you know, Pride and Prejudice, and this is what plurilingualism is about. You know, yeah, you come from Pride. My language is the most important, right? And it's going to be the prevailing language on the one hand, and on the other hand, oh come on, this is a prejudice. I mean, I've got prejudices against people who speak another language or other languages who are different, probably who are disabled, who have different skin color or something. So this is always, you know, this coming from one side to another, and ideally we should find a balance, right? But, well, without such trainings, we won't be able to do that, right? So let's back to the structure of the training module. This is, as I have said, training module 8, so 6 academic hours, 4 hours to face-to-face, or 4 hours of individual assignment. They could also work together in a group or in twos if they wanted, especially if they were from the same school. And there is the rationale, right, of each module. And let me... So the training process follows the structure of the modules: rationale, objectives, procedure, steps, 3 to 5. It differs. Reading and reading resources. And rationale and objectives provide a justification of the module content and its teaching goals. That was the rationale, right here. I'm not going to read it to you because it's going to take too much time, but there is the rationale. Then objectives. The objectives are just few, so upon completion of this unit, the in-service and pre-service teachers will be able to become more alert to stereotypic attitudes, to connect stereotype-based attitudes to language learning attitudes, to structure language teaching, avoiding enhancement of stereotypical attitudes. So this is 1 minute left. Thank you. Right, and then you've got the procedure consisting of several steps. Here is step 1. Okay, a nice song, a nice poem, then step 2, and so on and so forth. Step 3, and then the reflection. No, it's okay. Then the reflection and the reading resources. But I just wanted to show you how the modules are constructed. Okay. Okay, but this is something that here in my presentation is something that I have already said, right? That, I mean, the target audience is pre-service and in-service teachers, of course, and that you already know, right? So just one sentence, during the training, the teachers got acquainted with various techniques, methods and activities, were allowed to put their experience, and in case of Polish teachers, I put intuition as well as random and sketchy knowledge of plurilingualism and pluriculture into a structure of modules so that they could use it more effectively with their students. And teachers began to feel more confident in dealing with sensitive issues in the classroom. You know, I have to just add one more thing about the plurilingualism. About the plurilingualism, yes, I have to come back to the beginning of the project when I was, hesitant about plurilingualism, the definition, and so on. And then, because I gave an example to my teacher. I gave an example to my teacher about my parents because they come from different regions, very close to each other. My mother comes from a region where there is a strict upbringing. And my father, next to my mother's region, was brought up in a more lenient way, you know, and my father is more relaxed, right? My mother is very strict. So this is like a pluricultural issue in me. I am pluricultural because I get this. And also I live at the cross-border region, Polish, Czech. And when I was a kid, should I say that? Okay. When I was a kid, there were only Czech channels. It was a long time ago, sorry. Okay, only Czech. I couldn't watch Polish television, so I picked up a lot of Czech, of the Czech language, and now I can understand. I cannot speak it fluently, but I can understand a lot. So I know a little bit of English, I know Polish, I know Czech language. I was also instructed in Russian when I was a primary school kid, right? So I'm plurilingual. And together with it, as you said in your presentation, is the culture. So I am pluricultural, I'm plurilingual, and my teachers believe me. Okay, thank you very much. I'm not going to become thank you.